Ladies and gentlemen, there is a part of us that often goes unnoticed, a quiet current flowing beneath the surface of daily life. It speaks in whispers, in fleeting desires, in dreams that awaken in the stillness of night. These wishes are more than simple hopes. They are messages from the depths of the self, urging us to pay attention, to awaken, and to act with intention. To say, "My wish is my command," is not a call to force the world, but a recognition of the hidden power within, a power that has waited patiently for awareness, courage, and alignment. Today, we turn inward to explore how our wishes guide us, how our inner self commands us, and how our conscious engagement can transform desire into reality. Every wish we hold is far more than a fleeting thought or a passing desire. It is a signal, an echo from the depths of our psyche, carrying messages that our conscious mind may only faintly perceive. To understand a wish as an inner signal is to recognize that it originates from the hidden layers of our being, from a place where the self communicates in symbols, emotions, and subtle urges rather than in rational words. Each longing, each unspoken yearning, is an invitation to explore the territory within ourselves that we often neglect. It is a reflection of our unacknowledged needs, our untapped potential, and the aspects of life that resonate most profoundly with our authentic selves. When we think of our wishes as mere wants, we reduce them to superficial cravings. We may desire wealth, recognition, or pleasure, but beneath these surface-level aspirations lies a deeper truth. A wish always points towards something essential within us. Perhaps it is a call for freedom where we feel constrained, a longing for connection where we feel isolated, or a pursuit of creativity where we feel dormant. Even when the wish seems trivial or fleeting, it carries the essence of something vital that has been overlooked. It is the psyche's way of directing attention toward what is missing or what needs nurturing. Consider the quiet wishes that arise in moments of stillness. They are often dismissed because they appear fragile, almost insignificant against the noise of daily life. Yet these small, delicate signals are as potent as grand ambitions. They reveal patterns in our inner life, recurring themes that hint at our deeper desires and intrinsic motivations. These signals might appear as an impulse to explore, a sudden interest in a subject, or a yearning for a change we cannot yet articulate. When we attend to them, these wishes become guiding lights, illuminating directions that lead toward personal growth, self-realization, and deeper satisfaction. Every wish also interacts with the parts of ourselves we do not readily acknowledge. The mind is a landscape of contradictions, desires, fears, and longings that often conflict. Some wishes may trigger discomfort because they confront aspects of ourselves we have suppressed or denied. A desire to pursue a new path might awaken fear of failure. A wish for intimacy might reveal vulnerabilities we prefer to hide. In this way, the psyche communicates through the language of wish and desire, inviting us to confront the shadow aspects of our being. The very presence of a wish in our consciousness signals an opportunity to engage with the parts of ourselves that need integration, understanding, and acceptance. The clarity of a wish is not always immediate. Often, the mind is clouded by doubt, external expectations, and the habitual routines that distract from inner guidance. Yet even in confusion, wishes persist. They recur, they appear in dreams, they surface in moments of quiet reflection, signaling their importance. Paying attention to these persistent signals is an act of listening to the inner self. It is the recognition that the psyche is speaking to us in its own symbolic, subtle language. The form of the wish may shift and its expression may change, but the essence remains. A message from the inner self seeking acknowledgement and expression. Wishes, therefore, are not random. They are carefully encoded signals, revealing the directions in which our life energy wishes to flow. They offer insights into what brings meaning, what stimulates growth, and what resonates with the deepest parts of our being. To ignore them is to disregard guidance from within. To honor them is to cultivate a dialogue with the self. In attending to our wishes, we learn to discern the difference between fleeting wants and essential calls from the psyche. We begin to recognize patterns, recurring motifs, and desires that align with our purpose and authentic expression. In this sense, a wish is both a reflection and a compass. It mirrors aspects of ourselves that we might not consciously recognize, while simultaneously pointing toward possibilities for growth, creativity, and fulfillment. It exists at the intersection of the known and the unknown, bridging conscious awareness and unconscious wisdom. As signals, wishes carry the subtle intelligence of the inner world, urging us to explore, to understand, and to act in alignment with our deepest self. Each wish, no matter how small or seemingly inconsequential, is a message from within, inviting engagement, reflection, and discovery. Recognizing wishes as inner signals transforms the way we approach desire, ambition, and purpose. They are no longer merely external goals to be achieved, but internal truths to be understood. They ask us to pay attention, to cultivate awareness, and to honor the quiet urgencies of the soul. Every wish is a thread connecting the outer life with the inner world, revealing the pathways through which we may come to know ourselves more fully, live more authentically, and engage with life more profoundly. When we utter the phrase, "My wish is my command," it is natural to imagine that we are summoning forces outside ourselves, as if the universe itself must bend to our will. Yet the deeper truth lies elsewhere. The command is not directed outward, it is a direction of consciousness inward, a call to align the hidden layers of the self with intention and action. The outer world, with its unpredictable circumstances and uncontrollable variables, does not respond to desire alone. The true command resides in mastering the inner terrain of thought, emotion, and motivation. It is within this inner landscape that the seeds of transformation are sown and cultivated. To command oneself is to become aware of the forces that shape our inner life, the patterns of thought, the recurring emotional reactions, and the unconscious impulses that often determine behavior. Most of us live as if swept along by circumstance, reacting habitually without acknowledging the subtle currents within. To claim command is to pause and recognize that every choice, every inclination, and every hesitation reflects the state of the inner self. By turning attention inward, we discover that our wishes are not merely external goals, but reflections of the psyche seeking coherence, wholeness, and integration. The process of commanding the self is inseparable from awareness. Awareness is not simply noticing thoughts or feelings superficially. It is observing the undercurrents of the mind with clarity, patience, and honesty. When a wish arises, it is often accompanied by conflicting emotions, doubts, and fears. The mind may protest, offering rationalizations, excuses, or distractions. Yet these reactions are part of the self, parts that must be understood, acknowledged, and integrated. To command oneself is to navigate these internal dialogues consciously, discerning which impulses align with authentic desire and which arise from conditioned fears or societal pressures. Action, therefore, is not a mechanical step taken in isolation from consciousness. True action arises from alignment between intention and inner understanding. It is the manifestation of clarity within. When one acts with awareness, each movement, decision, and choice becomes an extension of the inner command. Conversely, action without this alignment is fragmented, often producing results that feel hollow or disconnected from one's deeper purpose. The self, when commanded consciously, harmonizes intention with action, turning desire into effective, meaningful expression. The journey of commanding oneself also involves embracing the shadow, the parts of our psyche we would rather deny or ignore. Every wish may encounter resistance, not from external obstacles alone, but from within. Fear, doubt, guilt, and unresolved inner conflict act as forces that challenge the realization of desire. To command oneself is to meet these aspects with courage and curiosity. It is to recognize that the shadow is not the enemy but a messenger, revealing tensions, inconsistencies, and unrealized potentials. Mastery of the self requires dialogue with these hidden elements, transforming internal resistance into insight and strength. Furthermore, commanding the self is inseparable from responsibility. A wish is only powerful when we accept the responsibility for bringing it into alignment with our inner truth. This responsibility is not burdensome, rather, it is liberating. It frees us from the illusion that external circumstances must conform to our desires. Instead, we understand that the true locus of power is within, in the conscious shaping of our thoughts, emotions, and actions. By taking ownership of our inner life, we create a fertile ground where wishes may grow into tangible realities. Even the subtlest shifts in attention and intention can ripple outward, influencing both our behavior and the environment in which we operate. When inner clarity guides thought, action becomes deliberate rather than reactive. Choices are no longer driven by habit or fear, but by purpose aligned with authentic desire. In this sense, the self, when consciously commanded, becomes both a field of transformation and a channel through which deeper impulses are expressed in the outer world. It is important to note that commanding oneself is not a one-time achievement, but an ongoing process. Life constantly presents new challenges, new conflicts, and new opportunities that test alignment between inner intention and external expression. Each moment offers the possibility to refine awareness, to confront internal resistance, and to redirect energy toward what is truly desired. The phrase, "my wish is my command," thus becomes a continuous practice of inner vigilance, self-reflection, and deliberate action. Through this inward command, the self is strengthened, refined, and aligned. Wishes cease to be idle fantasies or abstract hopes. They become the intentional expression of a psyche that understands its own depths. In this way, the act of commanding oneself is both the source and the mechanism through which desire is realized, not by forcing the world, but by transforming the self into a coherent, purposeful, and receptive instrument. The power lies within, and the path of mastery begins with the conscious command of one's inner life. Within every individual lies a part of the psyche that is rarely acknowledged, often hidden, and sometimes feared. This part, known as the shadow, is composed of impulses, desires, fears, and traits that we refuse to recognize in ourselves. It contains the aspects of our being that society, upbringing, or personal judgment have deemed unacceptable, undesirable, or shameful. Yet, the shadow is not merely a collection of negative qualities. It is a reservoir of untapped potential, raw energy, and authentic truth that has been suppressed. To live fully, one must encounter this shadow, for it represents the dimensions of ourselves that long for acknowledgement and integration. The shadow manifests in subtle and sometimes obvious ways. It can appear as irritation toward another person, envy, or judgment of behaviors we secretly share. Often, the shadow projects itself onto the outside world, making us see in others what we refuse to see in ourselves. When we react strongly to someone else's flaws or mistakes, we are frequently witnessing a reflection of our own unacknowledged tendencies. Recognizing this projection is the first step toward understanding the shadow, for it teaches that the qualities we resist externally exist internally as well. Confronting the shadow requires courage. It is uncomfortable, even unsettling, to face parts of ourselves that we have long denied. We may feel shame, fear, or guilt when these hidden aspects emerge. We may resist the acknowledgement of impulses or traits that seem incompatible with our self-image. Yet, avoidance only strengthens the shadow's hold. The more we deny, repress, or ignore it, the more it influences our thoughts, decisions, and behaviors from the depths, often in ways we cannot consciously control. True self-awareness demands that we turn toward this discomfort, that we examine the elements of ourselves we have tried to hide, and that we acknowledge their presence without judgment. Engaging with the shadow is not a passive act. It is an active process of exploration and reflection. It involves observing our reactions, impulses, and recurring patterns of thought, asking ourselves why they exist, and seeking to understand the underlying motives. This exploration reveals that the shadow is not merely destructive, it is also instructive. It points to areas of life where we are incomplete, where growth is necessary, and where energy has been blocked by fear or denial. Each encounter with the shadow offers insight into the wholeness of the self and illuminates paths toward greater authenticity. The shadow also contains gifts. Within the traits we fear or reject lie qualities that can enrich our lives when recognized and integrated. Aggression may conceal assertiveness that has been suppressed. Selfishness may reveal a need for self-preservation. Fear may guide caution and discernment. By confronting these aspects, we reclaim energy that was once wasted on repression and redirect it toward conscious growth and purposeful action. The shadow, therefore, is not a problem to be eradicated, but a hidden source of strength and creativity waiting to be harnessed. Relationships often serve as mirrors that reveal the shadow. We encounter in others the very qualities we struggle to accept in ourselves. The irritation, anger, or envy that arises in response to another person is an invitation to examine the inner reflection, to explore the hidden dynamics of our own psyche. By facing these internal reactions honestly, we begin to understand the complexity of human nature and recognize the universality of the shadow. It is not an anomaly of character, but an inherent aspect of being human, shared across individuals, cultures, and experiences. Confronting the shadow also deepens the understanding of personal responsibility. It challenges the tendency to blame external circumstances or other people for our dissatisfaction or failure. When we acknowledge the influence of the shadow within, we recognize that transformation begins internally. By integrating the hidden aspects of ourselves, we reduce the unconscious forces that dictate our behavior and replace them with conscious, deliberate choices. Each act of recognition, reflection, and integration strengthens our capacity to live authentically, responding to life from awareness rather than reaction. The process of facing the shadow is ongoing. It cannot be completed in a single moment or through a single insight. Life continually presents new experiences, challenges, and opportunities that bring the shadow to the surface. Each encounter provides a chance to refine awareness, confront resistance, and reclaim energy previously trapped in denial or repression. The shadow is not a finite obstacle, but a dynamic presence, evolving alongside the self and offering endless possibilities for growth, self-understanding, and transformation. Through the confrontation with the shadow, the self becomes more whole, more integrated, and more capable of embracing the full spectrum of human experience. By facing what is hidden, denied, or feared, we unlock the potential that lies dormant within us. The shadow, once acknowledged and understood, ceases to control us from the depths and becomes a guide, a source of insight, and a wellspring of vitality that enriches the journey of life. The human psyche is a complex and layered system, composed of thought, feeling, and action, each influencing and shaping the others. Yet, more often than not, these elements exist in tension, disconnected from one another. Our thoughts may envision a path forward, while our feelings resist it. Our emotions may long for freedom, while our actions remain constrained by habit or fear. This fragmentation creates inner conflict, confusion, and inefficiency. The true power of the psyche is realized when thought, feeling, and action converge, forming a harmonious alignment in which desire, intention, and expression are unified. It is in this alignment that the inner self gains the capacity to transform wishes into reality, to translate aspiration into concrete, meaningful outcomes. Thought alone is insufficient. The intellect can conceive brilliant ideas, imagine extraordinary futures, and analyze countless possibilities. Yet, without the accompaniment of feeling, thought remains abstract and disconnected from the energies that propel action. Feelings provide the vital information about what truly matters, what resonates with the inner self, and what motivates the individual at a deeper level. They illuminate the desires of the psyche that might be obscured by rationalization or distraction. When we ignore our feelings, we risk pursuing goals that are misaligned with our true nature, no matter how logical or practical they may seem. Thought without feeling is like a map without a compass. It may describe the terrain, but it cannot guide movement. Feeling, however, also requires the guidance of thought. Emotions are powerful, immediate, and often intense, capable of inspiring action or creating confusion. Unexamined, feelings can lead to impulsive behaviors, misinterpretation of circumstances, or projection of inner states onto the outer world. When paired with thoughtful reflection, feelings gain clarity and direction. Thought discerns patterns within emotion, identifies what is authentic versus transient, and interprets the signals that feelings convey. This dialogue between feeling and thought ensures that desires and intentions are understood, evaluated, and aligned with the broader self. Action is the third component, the outward manifestation of inner processes. Without action, thought and feeling remain inert, confined within the boundaries of the mind and heart. Action transforms the invisible into the visible, the potential into the actual. Yet action without alignment is often misguided. We may act impulsively in response to fleeting emotions or overanalyze without movement, producing outcomes that are inconsistent with our deeper intentions. Alignment ensures that every action is informed by both thought and feeling, creating consistency between what we desire, what we understand, and what we do. It is the bridge that unites the internal and external worlds, allowing the psyche to express itself fully and authentically. The process of alignment is not automatic. It requires conscious attention, reflection, and discernment. We must cultivate self-awareness to recognize the discrepancies between what we think, what we feel, and what we do. We must observe when thought overrides feeling or when action contradicts intention. Each moment of awareness provides the opportunity to adjust, to harmonize, and to redirect energies in accordance with authentic desire. This alignment is dynamic, continually evolving as new experiences, insights, and challenges arise. It is a living practice, demanding patience, curiosity, and persistence. Alignment also involves confronting the tensions within the self. Often, thoughts, feelings, and actions are misaligned because of fear, unresolved conflict, or habitual patterns that resist conscious direction. By observing these tensions, we gain insight into the underlying causes, whether they be internalized expectations, societal pressures, or unresolved aspects of the psyche. The alignment of thought, feeling, and action is therefore inseparable from self-understanding. Each adjustment, each moment of integration, deepens awareness and strengthens the coherence of the self. When thought, feeling, and action are aligned, the inner self becomes a coherent instrument capable of deliberate creation. Desires are clarified, emotions are directed, and actions are empowered. The individual moves through life with purpose, responding to circumstances with authenticity rather than reaction. The alignment transforms ordinary effort into intentional expression, allowing wishes and intentions to manifest with precision and meaning. It is not merely a technique for achieving goals, but a pathway to living in harmony with the deeper currents of one's own psyche, where inner truth and external reality meet. This alignment cultivates resilience and flexibility. Even when external events are unpredictable or challenging, the internal coherence of thought, feeling, and action provides a stable foundation. The individual is guided by inner clarity, capable of adjusting while maintaining integrity and direction. Alignment is not rigid conformity, it is a fluid integration of mind, heart, and behavior, responding to life with balance, insight, and authenticity. The process of manifestation does not begin in the outer world, it begins within. True creation arises when the inner self is fully aware, attentive to its own depths, and aligned with the intentions it seeks to express. Inner awareness is not merely conscious thought or surface-level reflection. It is a profound engagement with the totality of the psyche, an acknowledgement of both light and shadow, clarity and confusion, desire and resistance. In this state, every thought, feeling, and impulse is observed with precision and compassion, allowing the hidden currents of the self to be recognized and directed toward purposeful expression. Without such awareness, wishes remain unformed, energy dissipates, and intentions falter before they reach the threshold of reality. Inner awareness illuminates the subtle ways in which desires are encoded within the psyche. Many wishes arise not as clear commands, but as symbolic expressions, fragmented signals from layers of consciousness that have long been overlooked. Dreams, fleeting thoughts, persistent curiosities, and even emotional reactions can all carry messages from the inner self. By cultivating awareness, one becomes capable of perceiving these signals, distinguishing between superficial wants and essential longings, and interpreting the guidance that the psyche offers. The act of manifestation begins with this recognition, understanding the authentic wish at its source before seeking to express it outwardly. Manifestation through awareness also requires the integration of all aspects of the self. When consciousness attends only to certain desires while denying others, the psyche becomes divided, and efforts to create in the external world are scattered or ineffective. Awareness brings the capacity to observe hidden fears, unresolved conflicts, and suppressed potentials. These elements, once illuminated, cease to operate unconsciously, no longer diverting energy away from conscious intention. In their place, they may be transformed into insights, strengths, and resources that empower the act of manifestation. The inner world, once fragmented, becomes a coherent field of energy capable of intentional expression. Attention to the present moment is another dimension of this inner awareness. Manifestation is not a distant event that occurs in some abstract future, but an unfolding process that begins with conscious engagement in the now. Each thought examined, each emotion acknowledged, and each action aligned contributes to the gradual formation of reality in accordance with one's deepest intentions. Awareness allows for the continuous calibration of mind, feeling, and behavior, ensuring that each step taken is directed toward the authentic wish rather than distraction, fear, or habit. In this way, manifestation becomes an ongoing practice, a dialogue between inner recognition and outward expression. Inner awareness also sharpens discernment regarding obstacles. Many of the barriers that seem external are, in truth, reflections of internal resistance. Anxiety, indecision, self-doubt, and unresolved inner conflict often shape the way the external world is perceived and engaged. By attending to these internal dynamics, one gains insight into the true source of limitation, transforming perceived barriers into opportunities for self-understanding and growth. Manifestation, therefore, is inseparable from the continuous cultivation of awareness, for only through this attentive engagement can the full potential of desire be realized. The alignment between awareness and manifestation is not a rigid or mechanical process. It is fluid, responsive, and deeply creative. Awareness reveals pathways that the conscious mind might overlook, uncovers latent capacities, and uncages the imaginative forces of the psyche. Every insight gained, every recognition of internal patterns, and every deliberate choice strengthens the capacity to translate inner intention into meaningful action. Manifestation becomes a natural consequence of the inner dialogue, an expression of a psyche that is awake, coherent, and engaged. Moreover, manifestation through inner awareness fosters authenticity. Actions, decisions, and creative expressions are no longer dictated by external expectation, habit, or superficial desire. They arise from the integrated self, a source of guidance that encompasses insight, intuition, emotion, and understanding. The products of such manifestation carry the depth, resonance, and vitality of the psyche itself, reflecting not only the fulfillment of a wish, but the expression of wholeness. In this process, the individual learns that power lies not in coercion or force, but in attentive engagement with the self. Awareness transforms energy from aimless longing into deliberate creation. The psyche, when fully observed and integrated, becomes a vehicle for expression, capable of translating inner vision into tangible reality. Each act of creation, each step toward realization, is rooted in this deep inner awareness, which ensures that the manifestation is not merely functional or superficial, but aligned with the truth, purpose, and fullness of the self. Through sustained awareness, the act of manifestation becomes an ongoing, living practice. The inner world guides the outer, thought and feeling direct action, and the self moves through life with coherence, clarity, and intention. It is not magic that brings wishes into reality, but the disciplined, conscious engagement of mind, heart, and spirit, revealing that the truest command of life is exercised through awareness, and that every wish, properly understood and aligned, is capable of becoming a living, tangible force in the world.